Greetings and welcome. President Steinmeier and I are delighted to be here on our South Campus with one of our distinguished honorary degree recipients, Dr. Laurie Santos, to whom we have the honor of awarding an honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters from Lesley University. President Steinmeier will now read the formal citation for Dr. Santos.
Professor of Psychology, expert on human and canine cognition, innovator in expanding access to learning through technology, dedicated nurturer of young minds, you, Laurie R. Santos, have transformed how the world views mental health and well-being and what determines happiness. You've taken great strides in helping people of all ages across the world learn to live more fulfilled lives. Today, we recognize your deep commitment to teaching and inspiring the next generation of leaders and to ensuring that at their hearts, they are purposeful people. For your distinguished scholarship in the field of psychology and cognitive science, and your dedication as an educator transforming the understanding of happiness and well-being, the trustees of Lesley University are honored and pleased to confer upon you, Laurie R. Santos, the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters. The hood and the diploma with which you have been invested are the visible symbols of your membership in this society of scholars. I am pleased to introduce Dr. Laurie Santos as our 2021 graduate guest speaker. Dr. Santos is professor of psychology and head of Silliman College at Yale University. She's an expert on human cognition and the cognitive biases that impede better choices. Her new course, Psychology in the Good Life, teaches students how the science of psychology can provide important hints about how to make wiser choices and live a life that's happier and more fulfilling. This course recently became Yale's most popular course in over 300 years, with almost 1 out of 4 students at Yale enrolled. It has been featured in numerous news outlets, including the New York Times, NBC Nightly News, The Today Show, GQ Magazine, Slate, and O Magazine. A winner of numerous awards both for her science and teaching, she was recently voted as one of Popular Science Magazine's Brilliant 10 Young Minds and was named in Time Magazine as a leading campus celebrity. Her podcast, The Happiness Lab, has over 35 million downloads. We are so glad you can be with us in Cambridge. Having received 3 Harvard degrees, you must have many happy memories of the Harvard Square area. As you know, our historic South Campus was originally a divinity school and is often mistaken as part of Harvard. And for a week this spring, it posed as Yale when George Clooney used it as a location for his new film. However, I hope the bright green banners in the background don't leave any doubt about where we are today. Welcome to Lesley, Laurie. The podium is yours.
Hello and good afternoon to everyone watching right now, to President Steinmeier and members of the Lesley faculty and staff, to all the honored guests, to the friends and family members of this amazing Lesley community, and last but definitely not least, to the class of 2021. Let me first start by saying thank you to President Steinmeier and the Board of Trustees. I can't tell you how humbled and honored I am to be receiving this honorary degree. As mentioned, I'm also really excited to be back on this campus that I love so much. I lived in Cambridge for over a decade, and that means I spent many an afternoon strolling in between Harvard and Porter Square, mind-wandering about some new research idea, while all the while looking up at those green Lesley banners along Mass Ave. I've also spent more than my fair share of time searching for a seat at my favorite all-too-busy coffee shop. That's right, Bourbon Coffee. I'm looking at you. All this goes to say that this campus, your campus, has always felt like my home too. So thank you so much for sharing it with me and for bringing me back here to Lesley University today. But I'm even more excited to have this opportunity to address all of you, the Lesley University class of 2021. I'm humbled to think about the impressive group of graduates that are watching this video right now, and the creativity and talent that you all are about to unleash on the world. So many artists and activists, dedicated educators, caring counselors, all of you passionate, committed leaders who are ready to go out and design the change that we need to see in this world right now. I want to start by congratulating you on the many accomplishments, big and small, that you've had here over the last 4 years. All those quiet moments in the studio, all those late nights studying for exams, those hours and hours you spent in practica, all the times you thought you weren't going to make it, well, you've made it. You've finally done it. Congratulations. But I also want to congratulate you on the fact that you've managed to achieve these accomplishments in one of the most challenging times this country and our world has ever seen. Now, many of you chose to come to a socially conscious place like Lesley because you are ready to take on the difficult challenges our world is facing right now. Many of you came here because you wanted to lead the charge against the devastating structures of racism and trauma that have plagued us all for so long. Many of you came here because you wanted to find creative ways to help people who were struggling. Many of you came here to become counselors, to combat the growing rates of mental health problems that are causing so much pain in our communities. Many of you are here because you wanted to create art that inspires us to fight these problems, that helps us understand and work through what it means to be a flawed human in an even more flawed world. But I'm pretty sure that none of you could have predicted the newest challenge the world would shoot at you during your time at Lesley. Okay, show of hands out there. How many of you, when you were in high school, thought that you'd be watching this commencement over a video screen? When you looked at your Lesley admission letters, how many of you thought, well, I better get my practica out of the way before junior year because there's going to be a horrible global pandemic? Or, hey, better clear my social calendar for, most of the second half of 2020 because there won't be any Lesley petting zoos or hanging out with my friends at Cambridge Common. All that's going to be gone. There was probably no mention of N95 masks or stay-at-home orders or COVID-19 protocols. And if I time traveled back to the first day you stepped foot on this campus and I asked you what Zoom was, you'd probably tell me it was something you did with a camera or like in a fast car or something. The last 15 months have changed all of our lives in ways that nobody could have imagined. But in spite of all of those challenges, you're still sitting here watching this proudly, ready to head off into this new, nearly post-pandemic world that we're all finding ourselves in. And that is a really, really good thing, because we need you now more than ever. As you probably know, one of Lesley University's long-standing mottos is, let's wake up the world. Let's wake up the world. I can't think of a better motto for the current moment because the past year has been a pretty harsh wake-up call. The world is not just awake, but totally shook. We're all in this position of figuring out how to make a collective wake-up after this awful crisis. With the promise of vaccines, there's a real hope that we'll all be walking away from this pandemic mess soon. But what world will we be walking back into? What kind of society do we want to wake up to in the post-pandemic time to come? You're all entering this exciting new chapter of post-university life at a time when the entire world is entering a new chapter in a post-pandemic world. But that also means that the challenge of figuring out all these next steps will in part be falling to you. It is you, class of 2021, who will be delivering the creative kinds of therapy that will help people get through this trauma of the pandemic. It is you who will help to build a post-remote learning educational system. It's your art that will be helping us to process what we've gone through and inspire us for the future. The skills and training you've received here at Lesley now put you at front and center, navigating our collective healing in the decades to come. What an amazing opportunity to shape this post-pandemic world, to use your own new chapter to shape the world's next chapter. But this pivotal and strange opportunity that this time presents also makes giving this particular commencement address pretty hard. Because members of class of 2021, the role of the commencement speaker is typically to give you a long-winded speech that imparts some deep and wise and often very sure of itself advice for your future. But here we are celebrating all your achievements at a time when your future seems more important, but also more uncertain than ever. And that's a problem for the old folks like me who are supposed to act like they know what's going to happen. I mean, I'm a scientist and a happiness expert, but this is still my first global pandemic rodeo. I, like you, like most people on the planet, frankly, really have no idea what the next few months or even years will hold. And so when I began thinking about what tips I could share to get you through what is this more than ever uncertain time, I decided to fall back on some advice that I know I can be sure of, something I know that all you future educators and artists and counselors and leaders will need more than ever. It's a strategy that's been scientifically proven to both make you physically healthier and happier. And it's one that's especially important for people who are devoted to a life of service. And that strategy is to give yourself a little grace. The advice I want you to take to your new chapter is to make room for some self-compassion, the simple but often neglected act of giving yourself kindness. Now, self-compassion is not really in right now. In fact, it's almost countercultural. These days, the norm is to push ourselves. I've heard my own students express mantras like, "Don't stop when you're tired, stop when it's done," or "Go hard or go home," or even, "You can sleep when you're dead." We've entered a time when it's almost the norm to extend ourselves past the breaking point, especially when the big societal goals we're all working towards feel so important. But the science shows that this culture of productivity at all costs, it isn't just toxic, it's also surprisingly ineffective. Research shows that if you want to be the best artist and activist and educator or person you can be, you need to extend yourself a little self-compassion. Studies show that people who give themselves self-compassion are less depressed and anxious. They're happier and have stronger relationships with the people they love. But self-compassionate people are also more productive. They procrastinate less often. They're resilient in the face of setbacks at work and in life, and they're less likely to burn out, even in the most stressful positions. And so my advice, class of 2021, is to fight the toxic hustle culture that says you gotta push yourself to the brink. The post-pandemic world needs you, in particular, to get it right. And that means you gotta listen to the science. If you're gonna make a real difference, then you'll need to commit to giving yourself a break. You'll need to recognize that you're human and give yourself the grace to be imperfect. You'll need to mindfully notice when you're depleted. You'll need to shut down that inner drill sergeant that tells you push or else. You'll need to be as gentle and loving with yourself as you intend to be with your future children and patients and students. Class of 2021, I hope you will take this scientific tip to heart. I speak for all of your teachers and friends and family members when I say that we're so excited for you, but also that we need you to have a real impact in the post-pandemic world. But you'll only be able to have that positive impact if you take care of yourself along the way. And so may you leave Lesley University today, not just with your diploma, but with a lifelong permission slip to extend yourself some compassion and grace, especially in times when you don't think you deserve it. Your future selves and the world will thank you. With that, I want to congratulate you on everything you've accomplished. Here's to the better world that you all will help create. Thank you and congratulations again.